Hello, this is part 2 of the video explanation of how to identify subjects and verb pairs in sentences. So I'm going to see if I can finish this up in just one more video. The last thing we talked about was the order of subjects and verbs and how they appear in sentences, so I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, what other parts are in sentences that you should know about to properly identify subjects and verbs? Phrases, I'm going to take you through that. It is not part of this slideshow, but it is part of another one that is housed on Blackboard that you should be able to take a look at. And complements, which is part of this slideshow, but I'm going to take a little, well actually let's talk about complements first and then we'll get to phrases. Alright, so complements are a word or word group that completes the meaning of a verb or complements the subject. Okay, so they can be a direct object or an indirect object. And a direct object is, if it's an object, it has to be a noun or pronoun, right? Or a word group that tells what is receiving the action of a transitive verb. So, or the result of the action. So Janice ate the pizza. The pizza is getting the action of the eating. The cat was chasing a moth, right? The moth is the one receiving the action of the chasing. We enjoy playing. Playing is the name of an activity, which is a gerund. So it's acting as a noun. So, but it's the playing is receiving the action of enjoying. If I say I threw the ball is receiving the action of throwing. Okay, so indirect objects often appear in sentences with direct objects, and it tells to whom or to what the action is being done. So always ask the question, to whom or to what? For instance, John threw me the ball, right? The ball is receiving the action of the throwing, but to whom was it thrown? Me, right? Sometimes we say John threw the ball to me, but as an indirect object, we say John threw me the ball. All right. Desi made her dog Lily a jacket. So the direct object is the jacket, right? That's receiving the action of making, but to whom? To Lily. Or for whom? For Lily. Okay, so a subject complement completes the meaning of a linking verb. I think we've talked about this before when we've talked about linking verbs. So it either identifies the subject or it describes it, renames it when I say identifies it. So Randy seems worried. Worried is linked back to Randy, so it's a word that describes him. Ryan is the next all-star player, so player is linked back to Ryan, renames Ryan, and it's linked by the linking verb is. Our dogs' names are Ajax and Lily, so Ajax and Lily are being renamed as the dogs, linked with the linking verb are. Okay, so that's a very quick rundown of complements. I'm sorry, there's such reflection in my glasses here. There's a lot of light on the other side of the room. Okay, so complements. Identify the direct and any indirect objects. I'm going to take you through just a couple of these. You can do the rest on your own. So example, this summer Ryan told us his plans for the future. The plans is the direct object because that is receiving directly the action of him telling. And to whom did he tell? Us, right? So that's the indirect object. All right, I'll do one more. He wants the top spot on his tennis team at Jersey City University. In this case, there's only a direct object, the spot, the top spot, and that's receiving the action of him wanting. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Of course, his goal demands hours of hard practice. So the subject is his goal. The verb is demands, and the direct object of the direct object that's receiving the action of demands is hours. Okay, so I'll let you do the rest. Okay, so here's the answer key to the previous slide. Okay. So in this case, this particular slide is asking you to identify all subject complements. That is, all direct objects, all indirect objects, and all, I'm sorry, just subject complements. All right. Sorry, delete. Some butterflies become caterpillars, so caterpillars is linked to butterflies by the linking verb become. That drug commercial is insulting and ridiculous. These two words are adjectives that describe the commercial linked by this linking verb. So go ahead and figure out the rest and then check it with the following answer key, which I will this time we're going to identify all complements. Direct and indirect objects as well as subject complements. In the example, jazz was originally the music of African Americans. This tells you that the music is a subject complement that renames or re-identifies jazz, linked by the linking verb. Let's see if we can go to another one. I'll skip that one. Practitioners of swing gave people the thrill of improvisation. Let's look at that one. Okay, so in this one we have practitioners as the subject, gave is the verb, and the thrill is what receives the direct object of the giving. He gave a thrill, but to whom? People. So people's the indirect object, thrill is the direct object. Again, work through these. Look at the next slide. All right, then identify the subject-verb pairs in these simple, complex, and compound sentences. But before you do that, you do have to look at the let's see. Here we go. Phrases. All right. So we're really going through in these videos and in these PowerPoints all of the major parts of a sentence that you need to know to understand how to identify a subject and verb. Because if you know what the subject complements are, and you know what, and you have a good idea of what subject verbs are and the phrases, then you know how to separate them out. Okay, so there's different kinds of phrases. Most of them pretty much act as modifiers, just like when you have adjectives and adverbs that act as a modifier, right? Like an adjective describes or modifies a noun or pronoun. Like she has long hair, right? Long is an adjective that describes hair. She has brown hair. Brown is an adjective that describes hair. Phrases can do the same thing. An entire phrase can modify a noun. And then you have adverbs that describe verbs, adjectives or other adverbs. So if I say I ran quickly, quickly tells you how I ran. I live here. Here tells you where I live. Live is the verb. She is thoroughly crazy. All right. Crazy is an adjective that describes her, but thoroughly tells you to what extent she's crazy, modifying the adjective, so that is an adverb. Okay, so some phrases can act as adverbs also. So the kinds of phrases that can act as modifiers are prepositional phrases and what we call verbals, which are really verb forms, or they look like verb forms, but they act or they function differently. They can function as an adjective or an adverb. I put gerunds in here, but it's really not a modifier. It's just something that acts as a noun. Okay, there are also infinitive phrases. I don't think I wrote that here, but hopefully that is part of this PowerPoint. Let's go to prepositional phrases. So a prepositional phrase consists of a preposition and its object. So what does a preposition do? Well, it shows relationship to an object. It's not a verb, so it doesn't have action at all, okay? Sometimes it can show direction towards something, but it's really about the relationship to that object. And it's not a preposition unless it has an object. So here's an example. So let me just give you first some examples of prepositional phrases. In the kitchen, on the table, under the bed, with my friend, to the store, at noon. So each one of those has a preposition: in, of, at. See Parts of Speech PowerPoint for a list of prepositions. I will include that also in your resource materials. Okay, so a koala is a marsupial, a mammal with an external pouch. With is the preposition and the pouch is the object, so you have a prepositional phrase here. Be careful not to confuse a preposition with an infinitive. An infinitive verb is to plus any verb. To dance, to sing, to watch, to remember, to love, okay? Infinitives are phrases, and they are a verb, but they are never the main verb of a sentence. So if you see to plus a verb, that's not the verb that belongs to a subject. All right, so I say watch out because to can be part of an infinitive, but it can also be a preposition if there's an object. If there's a verb after it, that's an infinitive. All right, to me, a koala looks like a cuddly teddy bear. To me, and like a cuddly teddy bear. So to is the preposition, me is the object. Like is a preposition, cuddly teddy bear is the object. All right, there's no subjects, there's no verbs. There's only a preposition and its object. All right, koalas, along with several other marsupials, are native to Australia. So along with is sort of a compound preposition. And then marsupials, obviously, is the object. So what is this modifying? It's modifying koalas. They are native to Australia. To is the preposition, Australia is the object, and it tells what they are native to. So it's modifying this adjective, so it is an adverb. We ordered a dish of salsa. Of salsa is prepositional phrase. Of is the preposition, and salsa is the object. It modifies the noun dish, so it's acting as an adjective. No one in the class has seen the movie. In is the preposition, the class is the object, and it's modifying no one, which is a pronoun. So that prepositional phrase is acting as an adjective. The mole burrowed under the lawn. Under is the preposition and the lawn is the object. The prepositional phrase says where he burrowed. So it's modifying the verb burrowed. It's an adverb. Althea Gibson was graceful on the tennis court. On the tennis court acts as an adverb modifying the adjective graceful. On is the preposition. Tennis court is the object. Okay, so here you're going to identify the prepositional phrase and its function. So in your head, you can just mark this up, and you don't have to save it if you don't want to. If you want to save it to your own files, you're welcome to. Okay, I watched the spider climb up the water spout. So up is the preposition, the water spout is the direct object, and it says where he climbs, which is a verb, so it's acting as an adverb. He glanced out the window. Out the window is the prepositional phrase that tells where he glanced, so it's acting as an adverb, and I will go no further than that since you can do the rest. And you'll see the key on the following page. So then we get to verbal phrases like the participial, which I'm going to have to continue in the next video since I'm running out of time. All right, see ya in part 3.